Happy full moon. I'm a couple days late, but in case you're not aware of this, full moon energy lasts for a few days. So just because I'm not right on the mark doesn't mean that this video isn't relevant. Also, energetic reading type videos are timeless. So if this message resonates with you, then it does, regardless of the timing of it. So yeah. Anyway, I don't have my tarot cards because the reason doesn't matter. I just don't have them with me. Also, if green is a sync for you, green has really been calling to me. So if that is something that calls to you, there's definitely a message in here for you. I'm going to go through kind of my journaling prompts that came up to help guide this conversation. So the energy I've been picking up is creative AF. I don't know if it's just the full moon or if there are other planets at play. I know Jupiter is doing something in maybe Pisces, which maybe that's why I love it so much. From what I heard from my other astrologer that I listened to, there's a lot of emotions happening, like lots of watery stuff happening. However, it feels very clear to me. Usually I feel emotional things pretty heavily considering I'm heavy water in my chart, but my emotions feel clear. I did get sick again, and I know that lots of people are getting sick right now, and it feels like another energetic clearing. And if that is you, if you have gotten sick, if you can lean into it, allow yourself to rest, and invest your time awake in things that feel good. Like for me, I really dived into music, not necessarily listening to music, although a little bit of that too, but like researching bands and looking at interviews and then listening to some of my favorite artists and what they have to say about their creative pursuits. And it gave me a lot of clarity. And then I allowed my body to rest. And I feel different. I feel upgraded. I feel clear. I feel inspired. And I feel like I know how to move forward in my life, in my creative endeavors, in the way that I operate on a regular basis. And I'm actually going to be talking about that. So, this moon is really highlighting taking a look at what rules your life is structured with. Were those rules enforced upon you without your consent, and are you subconsciously still living within them? Are you very rebellious, and do you not really know why? If you are really rebellious, it's probably because you're subconsciously holding on to a structure based on a rule set that you don't believe in, and you don't have to necessarily follow all those rules. Some of the patterns and the rules that I find myself subconsciously following are that being healthy makes me more worthy and more capable, and bad health is shameful, and I have to hide it from others, and having a sick body is bad, and those aren't necessarily true. So that was one of the lessons and one of the structures that was highlighted to me during this full moon period. Another one is like emotions. Intense emotions also need to be hidden. Women are known for their PMS or whatever, and like we've been told for a very long time that our emotional expression is not allowed, and if we are too emotional or too expressive or too passionate, then we're crazy. So that's a rule structure that I'm not really wanting to live by anymore. Same with being sick. Neither of those things are true. And I'm not really willing to live by this idea that emotions are something that need to be changed and they are worthless and they should be numbed, and it's better to just like put them by the wayside. And I'm also not willing to live within the rule structure that I have no control over my well-being, my health, and I have to rely on external medicines or somebody else to tell me how to take care of my body. Yeah, that gets kind of spiritual, but that's okay. That was something that I was exploring with, my recent illness, falling asleep to deep meditations and tapping into acceptance of my physical status and seeing how much quicker my body was able to heal itself when I wasn't stressing out about being sick and wishing to be healthy. Also, some things, structures. Oh my god, there's literally so many in here. People are selfish. That's kind of like a societal rule that we've just adopted. We think that in our natural states, or we've been taught that human beings in their natural states are selfish and they will kill one another in order to survive. Now, in an extreme survival situation, maybe, but is it necessarily true that if we didn't have laws and regulations and all of these things to keep us, within our fence limits, that we would just go buck wild and it would be like a purge moment? Is that necessarily true? Because in my experience, humans are at their base level love and compassion. And I have proof of that from babies. When they're born, that is a human being in its most authentic state. That human being has literally just been taken from the heavens and brought onto this earth. And it is nothing but pure love. All it knows is unconditional love for its caretaker and for life itself. That baby is not trying to kill its mother or whatever for its survival needs. It's just love. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of those, but that is definitely a theme that was kind of coming up. It was like every trigger that was coming up was like, okay, why am I living my life this way? Why was I taught to live my life this way? And is this rule structure or this way I think existence has to be, is that actually true? Or is it possible for me to live a different way? Another one that was really being highlighted to me are my actions coming from fear or are they coming from confidence? I think the number one reason why I haven't seen financial success in my creative career path is because I've been operating mostly out of fear. If I don't do this, then people will not find my business or whatever the fuck. Like, if I don't take this action, then X will not happen. And that's not necessarily a place of doing it because I love it and like wanting to share it with other people. That's more so acting because I'm afraid if I don't act, then what I want won't manifest. I put it in way better form over here. So basically, I think what humanity is doing is moving from a doing culture where our value and kind of our operating system is based on like what we do on a daily basis, our to-do lists, our, go to school, go to college, get a career, like the to-do checklists. So moving away from that and into a state of just like being, or moving more into a state of just presence rather than future oriented action based existence. And I said moving from a doing culture to a being culture means taking action because you're excited about what might happen instead of taking action to avoid what could happen if you don't. Right? So like this theme coming up, I don't know, I just all of a sudden started to notice. Well, actually, no. This question was posed to me through something else, but I had kind of noticed, like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I feeling so burned out? And it definitely is because my motivation was coming from a survival state of, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this in order to get what I want, rather than I want to do this because I'm excited to see what comes of it. I want to do this because I'm excited to see who it impacts. I want to do this because I'm excited to see the end result. Like, I'm excited for the process, and I'm excited to see what happens, like what kind of twists and turns come along the way. That is a more confidence-based action taking mindset, because at the foundation of that is the trust within yourself that you have your own back and you can follow through and you can create whatever it is that you desire. Where the other one has a foundation of, I'm doing this because, well, like I said already, I'm doing this because I'm afraid that if I don't, then what I want to manifest will not happen. And then another question that was posed, well, okay, I have the questions below in the comment or in the description. Am I playing an active role in leading my life? And have I placed any projects on hold? So this one was kind of a weird question for me because I'm sitting in an in-between space of allowing opportunities to come to me by being inactive and also taking action to make my dreams come true. So not forcing the action and acting out of fear, but also not avoiding taking action because I'm questioning where that action inspiration is coming from. Now, I was having a really hard time wrapping my mind around this. Like, if you just try to think about that, it's almost debilitating to even think about taking action because you could just go in, everything is both things all the time. So you could really just go in circles about like disproving that this action is a divine inspiration action because it also has a basis in fear. Like, duh. Like, everything has a duality of fear and love. So I shifted my focus, basically. Like, instead of focusing on what the outcome of taking this action is going to be, I focus, like in the present moment, I focus on how I want to feel. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel successful. I want to feel like I'm making an impact in the world. I want to feel unconditional love for the community that I've created. And then from that feeling space, I can trust the actions that come to mind because they are literally coming from the feeling that I created, that I want to experience, but I'm also already experiencing. So it's kind of slowed me down, and I haven't even really, well, actually, no, that's not true. I've basically been taking action like that for the last like 3 days, and it slowed me down a lot, but it's like every action that I've taken from that place has been a lot more fruitful. Like, it's been a better investment of my energy, where before I was kind of taking action like just basically vomiting a bunch of colors or throwing a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and trying to see what stuck. Like, I almost felt like taking action prior to this intentional way of taking action felt like a manic episode. But because I'm such a creative individual, I had to find another way to invest my energy. And that kind of leads me to the next thing that I wrote, because if you are like me and you have a lot of creative energy and you're working on a creative project and you really want it to go well and you're finding yourself like consistently taking action, but nothing's really coming of it and it doesn't feel like it's quite resonating, in order to take myself out of that space, I had to do nothing of importance. So for this week, what I did, like I said before, I invested my time into watching music, like videos about music, and then I also colored. Like it was a really great creative pursuit because unfortunately now my job includes writing, it includes photography, it includes like video and photo editing, and it includes like candle making and soap making and all of these other things. So like I can't just use those as like a mindless creative endeavor. So I got a coloring book and I listened to interviews with some of my favorite music artists, and I just let myself explore, and I colored all of that in Sharpie, which I'm so sorry that I'm showing you this in a full moon video, but whatever. And it was really awesome. And then I finished another one, and it's so cool because I've never finished one before. And I'll tell you what, it was really uncomfortable to not focus on work. It was really uncomfortable to not focus on the thing that I want to happen so bad, and I truly am so excited about, and I believe in myself 100% for. It was difficult to force myself to rest and to detach. It felt uncomfortable and wrong, but I've had way better results from it. So if you don't know what to do next in whatever it is that you're creating or trying to make happen, simply do nothing of importance. Focus all of your attention on something that brings you joy, or let yourself be bored for a while. Let yourself be in the pain of being bored and not trying to distract yourself with things that quickly fix that boredom. Because from that boredom, or I can't remember who said it, it might have been it doesn't matter, it'll come to me like randomly in the video. From boredom or from depression, which can feel synonymous sometimes, it does for me, comes great creation. In time, all the inspiration you need will come to you. The next move is waiting for the space you create when you engage in nothing at all. If you're engaging with the feeling boredom, it's going to take a little bit longer. Like the next move is not going to come from the boredom itself. It's going to come from the mindless creative pursuit you invest yourself in to, I don't know, like not really escape the boredom, but to heal the boredom. For me, it was coloring. It could be gardening. It could be learning to sing or picking up a guitar for like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're totally inspired again with what it is that you actually want to make happen. We have to ease up on forcing action and ease into just letting it happen. This moon obviously is bringing up a lot of compassion for yourself, and it's highlighting, it could be highlighting where you're heavily judging yourself or judging others. So if you find yourself, and I say this at every full moon because it does, it highlights these areas so that we can let them go and move through them and ascend beyond them. If you're finding yourself judging another, or you're finding yourself judging yourself, that's the moment where you really re-guide your thoughts in a new direction. You say, wow, I notice myself being really judgy, and I don't necessarily want to be that way anymore. So I have compassion for myself because I've been taught to be judgmental, but I'm choosing different thoughts in this moment, or I'm choosing not to emotionally engage with these thoughts. Either one works. This was really cool from something that I read. I don't know where I read it. I say yes to experiencing what I thought was scary. I trust that I have the determination to face what's on the other side. And I put down a prompt of what scares me and what do I resist. just for a little bit of clarity. I'm afraid of missing out on life because of working too much, which I'm already doing. Moving through, by the way. I often resist being proven wrong. I also am afraid of not being seen, and I also resist rejection. Now, those are important for me to know about myself, because what I'm afraid of is going to subconsciously guide my actions or my inactions. So, for example, rejection. If I'm afraid of being rejected, then I'm more likely to find a lot of other things to do besides videos like this, or posting about my coaching, or offering my coaching services. If I'm afraid of not being seen, then that could make me search for validation online. That could make me honestly also be afraid to post, which everything's all the same, all things at one time, but not getting like my heart, when I put my heart and soul into my creations and it's not validated by others, it feels like I'm not being seen, and it hurts. And I'm afraid of experiencing that. So obviously, if I'm afraid of experiencing that, then it's going to push me away from taking certain actions that might be a part of my soul's calling. So when I know what's scaring me, then I can better navigate what thoughts are not serving my highest good, and what I can disprove as true as far as my thoughts go. I'm going to try to figure out how to say that better. It helps me know what to believe about myself. Like, I trust that I have the determination to face what's on the other side. Like, that's a really positive thought to have about yourself, right? So I guess it helps me to see the contrast between what I want to believe, which is that, and what I actually am believing that might be more rooted in one of these fears. Hope that's clear. Okay. What foundations have I already built? What can I show myself gratitude for? Gratitude, excitement, joy, and love are some of the highest vibrational emotions that you can create or that you can feel. When you practice gratitude on a regular basis, you find more things to be grateful for, and you create more circumstances to be grateful for. I highly recommend starting a gratitude practice and answering that question, because it's really helpful. And what can I show myself compassion for? So what I chose to show myself compassion for in this full moon, I believe Capricorn is Saturn, or Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is all rules and systems and structures. So it is no coincidence that in the space where I wrote about what I can show myself compassion for, I wrote, I show myself compassion for taking on belief systems and programs from my environment or predecessors and and needing time to grow out of them. I give myself compassion for needing time to heal and let them go. If you're doing any sort of work where you're deprogramming yourself from worker bee virtues or patriarchal belief systems or whatever, it's really important to give yourself compassion for needing time to do that, because those systems have been building themselves for years and years and years and years, and it's a little arrogant. Oof, arrogant's kind of a strong word, to think that we can just heal through them in like a year. Give yourself compassion. You're doing the best that you can, and you're working as hard as you can, and you're doing great. You're doing so good. Also, just because I'm feeling creative doesn't mean I have to share it or produce with it. So that's been kind of like a little downfall of mine. I'm trying to monetize everything that I'm doing, and I think I'm probably not alone in that. But I'm a highly creative person, and so when I have an idea, I'm like, oh yeah, I could make this business out of it, or I could sell this and this and this, instead of just taking the joy of the creation itself. There will always be other times to materialize your actions. Could be another place to give yourself compassion if you set intentions at the new moon and they didn't necessarily manifest, or you weren't feeling up to taking action. That's your reminder that there will always be more opportunities to take action. And then another thing that was really coming up was ancestors and elders. The journaling prompt says, what emotions am I feeling towards my elders and my ancestry? And one of the interesting things coming up for me, lots of family stuff came up this past week on my mother's side, my grandma and my grandfather. And I was just reflecting on their lives because of this question and the lessons that they have taught me and my family, and if the lessons that side, I guess, maybe has passed down into my physical body and my sister's physical body, just from their life experiences. And I said that I understand their lives were full of lessons about living life in fear. They have taught us and passed down wisdom about what it's like to miss the point of life. They have taught us what it's like to take action to avoid what might happen instead of excitement for what could come. Elders and ancestors have also taught us the importance of our close relationships. That person-to-person contact is all that matters. I feel respect and gratitude toward them, but ready to move forward. So I want to just kind of, it kind of ties together everything that I had already been talking about. Because humanity is shifting consciousness right now, old ways of doing things are cleansing themselves. They're clearing themselves away. And one of the lessons that I think a lot of our ancestors, more recent ancestors, experienced over and over and over again was taking action out of fear and living with a foundation of fear. And I think that the pendulum is swinging back to living with a foundation of love and excitement and joy and ease and grace. So we've been given the gift from our ancestors who learned through struggle to see that that's not the only way, and we have the freedom to make different choices and to choose living a life from ease. It can be easy. We have abundant resources to teach us how to make it easy. But as we are moving forward from that space, there's going to also be a regression where our person-to-person communal connections are going to become more important than they have been in like recent history, or the last, however, I don't know, like our generation, previous generation, etc., etc. Because truly that's where you get to experience magic in your life. And everything outside of your immediate environment is almost an illusion. It's so distant from you. It's accessible and it's real and it's true, but you're not getting the full story of a lot of what's far away from you and accessible just through a 20-30 minute YouTube video. But your interpersonal relationships, that's where the fruit and the abundance really lies. Okay, so another little quote that I wrote down is amplify what you have rather than what you want in the future. Wanting puts your focus into what you don't have. That's kind of a whole nother video in itself. It has to do with manifestation. Manifestation is more new moon energy anyway, so maybe I'll dog ear this page and talk about it in the new moon video that I do. My biggest piece of advice is to focus on the feeling. If you are feeling stuck, if you're working towards something, if you're creating something, if you're, I don't know, feeling down, focus on how you want to feel and make that your number one priority in your life. Finding your center, finding moments of joy, finding moments of gratitude, expanding and amplifying those moments, and then letting life bring more of that to you by embodying that vibration. Okay. That was very, doesn't matter. See you later.